The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
And hello again, wrestling fans. Welcome to our weekly dive into the rich history of our great sport with This Week in History. We're going to look at November 5th through 11th. And as you saw just a moment ago, I remind everybody, this is Remembrance Day, lest we forget, and remember all the great soldiers that did the fighting to give us freedom along the way. This is at noon, so hopefully you took a moment of silence at 11:11 today and are marking the remembrance of those who served for us. We'll talk a little bit more of that as we get to actually the 11th on the list today. We also want to remind you that we are available on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else you get your podcasts from. We are on YouTube and on Facebook. You can always get a hold of us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Email us at scumbagswrestling@gmail.com. Go to our website, scumbagswrestling.ca. We are one of the major sponsors of the All Ontario Cup, and the Scumbags bracket is happening tonight. Contact Barry Wrestling to find out how you can be a part of it. And we are also part of Hammerlock Pure Wrestling, which is happening in Elmer on Saturday. So get your tickets if you're in the area and support indie wrestling. Now, as I said, we are doing the 11th to the 5th to the 11th of November, and we can't do it without Jonesy in Niagara Falls. How are you, Jonesy?
I'm doing pretty good. Trying to think, today's weather so far this week has actually been pretty good. I know it's supposed to start sucking near the end of the week, but
yeah, it's been nice having afternoons with double-digit temperatures, hanging out in the backyard with the dog for a little while. At least gets us some fresh air and sunlight. I appreciate what we can. But if you're ready to get going, we're going to start with November 5th.
All right, November 5th, 27 years ago, ECW presents November to Remember. The show featured two of the most famous moments in the company's storied history. Sandman, who was blinded weeks earlier by Tommy Dreamer, KO's Commissioner Gordon and reveals not only is he not blind, but a woman is his manager. Also, shortly into the Benoit Sabu match, Sabu gets dropped on his head, breaking his neck, with Benoit earning the nickname the Crippler. And if you've ever seen the footage of that, yikes, does it look like that just sucked.
Yeah, we got the photo of it, the landing up right now. Unfortunately, you can't use GIFs, I guess, because I've gotten a strike against that for copyright. So I don't want to get any more strikes that way. But as you see, Sabu's landing on his neck right here. And actually just, I think last week, announced his retirement from wrestling.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he is getting up there. He's got to be, what, close to 50, if not 50 by now?
Mid-50s.
Wow. And a guy who did abuse his body a lot, that's pretty good to go that long. However, he probably figured, you know what, there's no way I'm going to even get close to Terry Funk's mark, so I might as well just retire now. And also on that show, the Public Enemy, Johnny Grunge and Rocco Rock, would defeat Cactus Jack and Mikey Whipwreck to win the ECW Tag Team Championship.
Can't say they were one of my favorite tag teams, but they definitely were popular. In a way, I would consider them, and a lot of people will probably disagree with me on this one, it was probably the Wish version of the Dudley Boys.
Also kind of Nasty Boys, too.
Yeah.
Mind you, the Public Enemy, I did like them. I thought they fit perfectly into WCW.
Yeah. But like I said, they were the Wish version of those teams, like how Powers of Pain might be considered the Wish version of Demolition and Legion of Doom, depending on which side of the fence you sit on with who was better between those two. But number 3 would be the aforementioned teams, Powers of Pain or Public Enemy.
Yes. 24 years ago on Raw from Long Island, New York, The Rock defeated Chris Jericho to win the WCW Championship. The Rock would be the last WCW champion before it is unified a month later by Chris Jericho. 21 years ago, ECW presented November to Remember. The main event saw Steve Corino defeat Jerry Lynn, the Sandman, and Justin Credible in a double Jeopardy match to win the ECW Championship.
Now, I kind of looked this up looking to find out a photo of it. And along the way, I didn't find a photo, unfortunately, just the logo that was up there. But the double Jeopardy match, it looked like, from my reading, there was 2 matches going on at the same time. And when there was people pinned, those guys would then go against each other. It was like a 3-fall match with 4 guys going at it at the same time. So you'd have to kind of wonder if you're going, say it was, I'm not sure what the combination was, but Steve Corino and Jerry Lynn, if Sandman wanted to go against Corino, he'd be trying to stop Jerry Lynn from pinning Corino potentially during that match. Like, I'd have to go back and watch it, but it's just kind of a weird concept to have 2 matches going on at the same time that goes down to who you want to go against if you're the victor of that fall of your match. Very unique. I don't think it's ever been done again.
Yeah, you can go on the WWE Network and find that match. That would be 2000. All right, moving on. 20 years ago on Raw from, I already did that. Oh, no, did I? Did we have 2 Long Islands here?
Yeah. The same one. 19 years ago at SmackDown taping, Edge and Rey Mysterio defeated Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle in a 203 falls match to win the WWE Tag Team Championship. This was during the time that the SmackDown 6 were basically running things, and you could interchange those 6 guys. Even though you had guys like Brock Lesnar and Big Show and Undertaker there, it was the core guys of 6, including, I believe, Eddie and Chavo, along with Edge, Ray, Benoit, and Angle. Those were guys that could interchange, and they were nicknamed the SmackDown 6.
Yeah, I didn't watch SmackDown at that time. I watched mostly Raw.
I think SmackDown has always had a little more quality than Raw. Raw has been more of the sports entertainment side as opposed to the wrestling side, which has always been SmackDown.
Yeah, I don't know if they've put another one out, but the first SmackDown Best of, that 3-disc set was actually really good. And I don't know if they put out another one, but...
yeah, I'm not sure either.
All right. Now that I remember where I am. We've got 15 years ago, WWE presented Cyber Sunday, which formerly was called Taboo Tuesday. We seen Lita defeat Mickie James in a Diva Lumberjack match to win the vacated WWE Women's Championship. Lumberjack Rules won the stipulation vote with 46%. Ric Flair and Rowdy Piper defeated the Spirit Squad, Kenny and Mikey, to win the World Tag Team Championship. Piper was the WWE Hall of Famer of choice with 46%. Dusty Rhodes trailed him, and the Sarge finished 3rd. In the main event, saw King Booker defeated John Cena and the Big Show in a triple threat match to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. And it is a happy 33rd birthday for women's wrestling standout Allysin Kay, though some wrestling fans would know her as Sienna in TNA.
Happy birthday to Allysin Kay.
Allison, there you go. See, the way it's spelled, that all screws me up, man. Moving on to November 6th. 27 years ago, AAA Puerto Rico's IWC and WCW presented When Worlds Collide from the Los Angeles Sports Arena in Los Angeles. This event was voted second best card in '94 by Wrestling Observer readers. On the bill was Eddie Guerrero, Tito Santana, Psychosis, Heavy Metal, Rey Mysterio, The Pegasus Kid, Conan, Two Cold Scorpio, and La Parca. And the event was commentated by Chris Cruz and the debuting Mike Tenay on American pay-per-view.
I think I actually saw this one. We might have even rented it on pay-per-view. Very young Rey Mysterio. I think he'd only had a couple matches, and he'd also been training, I think, with Psychosis, who was in the six-man tag team match that they went against each other, and Heavy Metal was in that. But yeah, decent card, and you saw guys who became superstars from that card.
Yeah, they pretty much all went on. I mean, shit, who the hell was the Pegasus Kid?
Chris Benoit.
There you go. That's what I thought, but I couldn't think of his name. So yeah, pretty much all those guys, they went on to do a lot more in WCW.
And then eventually over to Vince and WWE.
Yeah, except I don't think La Parca did.
No, he's the exception. And Conan spent very limited time over in WWE land as Max Moon.
Actually, I got to see Max Moon at the London Gardens years ago. I want to say he was fighting Razor, but I could be totally wrong on that.
Yeah, but was he Conan or was he Paul Diamond?
That I'm not 100% sure on. Because I can't even remember exactly what month that damn card was in. So,
yeah.
But he did have the cheesy fireworks. So, 21 years ago on Raw's War from Houston, Texas, Bull Buchanan and the Godfather of Right to Censor defeated the Hardy Boys to win the WWF Tag Team Championship. And we would also see the debut of Molly Holly. Nora Greenwald was let go from the WCW in August of 2000, where she was known there as Miss Madness. She would train Stephanie Belair's, a.k.a. Gorgeous George, while there.
I was a fan of Molly Holly. She didn't stand out as one of those divas at all, but very talented individual. And she even went to Vince McMahon to get on the WrestleMania 20 card, saying that she would shave her head, and because they were going to be left off the card totally.
Oh, wow.
Had she not pulled that one. And so she was willing to do that and got the match with her and Victoria put on there. And yeah, great face heel. Good storyline with her and Spike Dudley as the little kid star-crossed lovers type deal that they were doing when she first came in as Molly Holly. And I believe, she was just recently inducted into the Hall of Fame, but I believe she's now working as an agent for WWE.
Nice. And I'm sure she's grown her hair back out. Moving on, 18 years ago, Mike Lockwood, best known to wrestling fans as the Houdini of hardcore, Crash Holly, passed away in his friend Stevie Richards' house in Navarre, Florida, and he was just 32.
From one Holly to another.
Yes. 15 years ago on Raw, Johnny Nitro defeated Jeff Hardy in a no DQ match to win the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Man, that's a young John Morrison there.
Very much so.
And also on the show, rapper-dancer Kevin Federline challenged John Cena to a match on the New Year's Day 2007 Raw. This was one night after Federline cost Cena the World Heavyweight Championship at Cyber Sunday.
He'll be best known as Britney's baby daddy.
Yep, Britney's baby daddy. He is a not too bad looking fellow. He's got a nice bald head there. It's a happy 78th birthday for the original World's Strongest Man, Kenneth Wayne Patera. Ken Patera competed in football, wrestling, and track in his younger days. He won the gold medal in shot put at the 1967 Pan Am Games. From 1967 to 1972, Patera would become one of the world's eminent weightlifters. He won 4 consecutive national weightlifting championships during that span, cleaned up at the 1971 Pan Am Games, including a gold medal in the weightlifting category, and finished second in the World Weightlifting Championships in 1971. In 1972, he became the first American to clean and jerk over 500 pounds, and the only American to clean and press 500 pounds, and he would come in third in the first World's Strongest Man competition. A lot of strong jerking going on there.
Very much so. And he definitely knew how to throw a boulder, as he was angry at McDonald's and threw a rock through their window, causing him to go to jail and missing his career in WWF.
Yeah, and I didn't get to see Patera in his his glory days. I got to see him more at the end of his glory days.
Sadly enough, yeah. I saw him with Billy Jack Haynes. They were about to do a tag team. And also he was part of Hogan's team on the very first Survivor Series in 87.
Patera would transition to wrestling in 1973. He began in the AWA, feuding with Johnny Valentine. Patera wrestled mainly as a heel for most of the 70s and early 80s for all 3 major promotions, WWF, NWA, and AWA. Patera is 3 times divorced and has 2 daughters. Moving on to November 7th, 42 years ago in Amagasaki, Japan, Harley Race defeated Giant Baba to regain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship he'd lost a week earlier to Baba in Nagoya. 36 years ago, WWF presented the Wrestling Classic. This was the first WWF show available through pay-per-view only. The show's feature was a 16 elimination tournament, which saw JYD defeat Randy Savage in the finals.
Yeah, some interesting combinations there, including Kirshner and Adrian Adonis, Dynamite Kid, and Volkov. They took a lot of tag teams and split them for this. Orndorff and Cowboy Bob Orton, Morocco and Santana, Moondog, Spot and Terry Funk, Iron Sheik and JYD, Steamboat and Davey Boy Smith, Macho and Ivan Putski. Quite the tournament going on there.
Now, who would you have picked out of them to win? Because I know Macho Man, I think he won the next year.
Yeah, he ended up, and it was also a King of the Ring, I think, at that point, that Macho won, and so later on, so did Morocco. It'd be either Macho or Steamboat, probably. Steamboat would have been a good one to take this whole thing.
Because I want to say that, well, maybe this, I'm not sure if this is the one that I seen one of these years and years ago, back when VHS was just kind of maybe in its first 5 years, and I watched one of these, and I really liked it. They were good, the Wrestling Classics.
I think it was this one.
All right. Cool. I can't remember. I just know Macho Man went to the finals, I believe. 26 years ago on Raw, an emotional Vince McMahon on commentary announced that Macho Man Randy Savage had left the WWF to wrestle for those rebel scum WCW. Also on the show, Bret Hart and the British Bulldog defeated Owen Hart and Jim Neidhart. I can't say I was sad to see Macho Man leave on commentary, because, I mean, he was okay, but his voice, God, it's almost like it's as bad as listening to Booker T.
Understandable. And then he was winding down his career, at least in Vince's eyes, and that's why he was on commentary. But then he had a longer career when he went over to WCW. I remember being at my grandparents' house. I believe it was December 27th, 28th-ish, where he showed up on WCW TV. So just a month later. Yep. And I was like, what?
But you know, Hogan, Randy Savage, they all fit in quite well in WCW, especially at the beginning when it was cartoony, similar to WWF.
And that until they showed up over there, WCW had yet to turn a profit.
Wow. 17 years ago, TNA presents Victory Road. This would be the start of a monthly pay-per-view for the company. Hector Garza won a 20-man X Division gauntlet match. 3 Live Crew, BG James and Conan defeated Team Canada, being Bobby Roode and Eric Young, to win the NWA World Tag Team Championship. Monty Brown defeated Abyss and Raven in a Monster Balls match. And Jeff Jarrett defeated Jeff Hardy in a ladder match to retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. The post-match featured the TNA debut of the Macho Man Randy Savage, which really he didn't do much at all in TNA. I think he might have had 1 match, maybe 2, but I don't think he ever had a singles match.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with too much of his TNA incarnation.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Victory Road, I had that one. You might have that one now. I don't know. At the end of that, Macho Man comes up with the whole pay-per-view. They're going on about Macho and all that. And then at the end, you barely get him at all. It was just terrible.
Yeah.
But the card itself was pretty good. 11 years ago, TNA presented Turning Point. Robbie E. defeated Jay Lethal to win the TNA X Division Championship. Rob Van Dam defeated Tommy Dreamer. Abyss defeated D'Angelo De Niro in a lumberjack match. Lumberjacks were members of the Pope's congregation. That'd be awesome if it was the real Pope's congregation. And Jeff Jarrett defeated Samoa Joe. The main event saw Jeff Hardy defeat Matt Morgan for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And it would have been a happy 64th birthday to Christopher Allen Pallies, best known to wrestling fans as King Kong Bundy. Bundy was not only a great big man, but he was an official Bundy, as his name was the inspiration of the Married with Children last name Bundy. He would appear twice on the show, once as Uncle Irwin and once as himself. He would also dabble in stand-up comedy. And I heard that that guy was very nice in person, and he wasn't too much of, into the drinking and all that. He was different than the character in which he portrayed.
Yeah, very much different. And he noticed, and I think it was on a Bundy tribute show of Something to Wrestle, they mentioned about his look. You see him with eyebrows, and he's just some fat, bald guy with a smile. You take away those eyebrows, and much like they are doing right now with Harlan on NXT, he's got his head shaved and his eyebrows, and he looks menacing compared to just some dude with a bald head.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. So are you saying that I should shave my eyebrows for next Halloween?
If you want to be menacing.
Ooh.
And look kind of freaky.
Maybe I'll spend the money and get them waxed and then paint over them and see what it looks like before I actually did it.
There you go.
November 8th. 46 years ago, Nick Bockwinkel defeated Vern Gagne to win the AWA World Heavyweight Championship. This would mark the end of the 2,625-day reign that he had. 41 years ago, Tony Gurria and Rick Martel defeated the Wild Samoans, Afa and Sika, to win the WWF Tag Team Championship. 22 years ago on Nitro, Scott Hall outdrank and defeated Bret Hart, Sid Vicious, and Goldberg in a ladder match to win the WCW US title. Oh, that's a great picture of Kevin Nash.
Dressed up like the Grand Wizard.
And over on Raw is War, the New Age Outlaws, Jesse James and Billy Gunn defeated Mankind and Al Snow to win the WWF Tag Team Championship for the 5th time. This was the 15th and final time the titles changed in 1999. The record is 17 times in 2001, and I believe it still stands.
Shocking. One thing that was not in the notes that I'm going to throw in here is the fact when I was looking for pictures for that episode, this one actually came up more so, and I thought it was more important than Scott Hall winning a ladder match for the U.S. title. And this is Dustin Rhodes as 7. That we spent weeks watching videos of this creepy bald guy, all in white and dressed almost like the Undertaker, peeking in children's windows. And next thing you know, on the episode of Nitro, you got his debut, and there's lights and smoke, and all of a sudden he elevates and starts floating down to ringside, and they're like, whoa, what the heck's this? And they're talking about it, and all of a sudden, after the smoke clears and the lights come on, it's Dustin Rhodes, and he starts his promo and then just basically says, no, enough. I'm Dustin Rhodes. This is BS. I'm tired of this stuff. I'm not a cartoon. The Gold Dust stuff was horrible. And he just totally shits on the whole 7 character, where they spent all this time creating and then do this big dramatic entrance to the ring, and done in one foul swoop. And then he became Dustin Rhodes again, and he was complaining about the fact that his dad had just gotten released from WCW, and so he's probably bitter, knowing the fact that he probably went over there as an employee for WCW, but his dad was probably still employed, and then before he debuts, his dad's gone, and he's stuck there, and doing another Goldust thing, and it was almost a precursor to what we see nowadays with former WWE guys going over to AEW and crapping on their former employer, that being WWE. And in this case, Dustin did that with not only his former but current employer with WCW. And yeah, it didn't really amount to much when he after he broke that kayfabe, and I don't recall much going on with Dustin after he broke that character. And then you'd see him back as Goldust a couple more times, gain a lot of weight and be Black Rain over in TNA, almost like the same thing, except for a mixture of 7 and Goldust together. Thankfully, Dustin has gotten rehab and been clean and sober for a long time. I'm a huge fan of Dustin Rhodes, and he's doing amazing things over in AEW and training. He's at his own school as well. But that is definitely a dark time in Dustin Rhodes' career, but we'll always have 7. And you can always go over to YouTube and find that video. And it's probably even still on WWE Network, but it's definitely available on YouTube.
That whole thing was just why. 16 years ago at a SmackDown taping, Eddie Guerrero defeated Ken Kennedy via DQ. This would be Guerrero's last televised match. FYI, 4 years later, Kennedy would be the last opponent for Umaga.
Yeah, kind of weird, but yeah. The whole match, great match, and it was setting Eddie up for being a contender for Batista's title. And unfortunately, Chavo found him the next day on the floor of his hotel room.
Yep, that day sucked. 12 years ago in Tokyo, Japan, Tiger Mask 4 defeated Mystico. Oh man, why am I having trouble with that one? Mystico, there you go, to win the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Though he kind of looks like is that a cat or a bear?
Tiger.
Oh, it's a tiger. Doesn't look like a tiger.
Mask 4.
No, it doesn't look like a tiger. It's not a tiger.
It's just a lot of padding around the...
Terrible tiger. Anyways, it's a happy 34th birthday to the Rainmaker. Hey, talking about another Rainmaker, Kazukiya Okada. He was trained by Ultimo Dragon, made his debut at the age of 16 in Mexico. Until 2007, he mostly wrestled in the US and Canada. In 2007, Okada returned to Japan and trained at the New Japan Dojo. In 2008, after an 8-month injury, he would become a breakout star for New Japan. But in 2010, he would be sent to TNA and released in 2011. In January of 2012, he would become the Rainmaker and win the IWGP Heavyweight belt. And he would go on to win many tournaments and more belts. In 2016, Okada was ranked the number 2 singles wrestler in the world by Pro Wrestling Illustrated in their annual PWI 500. November 9th. 65 years ago, Lou Thesz defeated Whipper Billy Watson to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. All those old guys got the furry chests. 46 years ago, Terry Funk defeated Paul Jones to win the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship. The championship was vacated following an October 4th Flair plane crash that injured then United States champion Johnny Valentine. 22 years ago at a SmackDown taping, Arnold Schwarzenegger guest stars to promote his new movie, End of Days, and was involved in the main event, interfering in the match event as Triple H took on Test with Stone Cold as the special guest referee. After the match, Triple H took exception to Arnold tossing in a chair to Austin that ended up being used on Triple H. Triple H would go after Arnold at the commentating table, but Schwarzenegger would deliver a convincing backhand to knock Triple H down.
And he got a WWE title for his troubles.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the funny thing is, I think Arnold fit in pretty good, but Arnold looked really small compared to a lot of those other guys. It's a happy 62nd birthday to Joseph Nicholas Patrick Hamilton Jr., but he is best known to wrestling fans as Nick Patrick. Born in Lakeland, Florida, Hamilton is the son of wrestling legend Jody Hamilton, a.k.a. The Assassin. Hamilton was injured early in his wrestling career, so he switched to refereeing. He took on the nickname Nick Patrick, which is his 2 middle names, so he could make a name for himself without his father's help. Nick began refereeing for Georgia Championship Wrestling in 1980, moved on to JCP, and remained there for its transition to WCW. He was a member of the NWO and remained with WCW till its end as the head official. WWE picked up Patrick along with Charles Robinson and Billy Silverman. Patrick would become the senior referee on SmackDown from 2007 until February 2007 when he left for Florida Championship Wrestling. He would return to the WWE for a bit, but left again due to chronic back injury. Patrick would work for Rampage Pro Wrestling as their director, replacing his father, Jody Hamilton. The pair would book shows together until the company gave both of them their walking papers. And I do believe occasionally he still refs a match from time to time.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He could be on the indie circuit.
I believe I read that in the thing. I just didn't put everything in there. November 10th, 28 years ago, WCW presented Clash of the Champions 25. Rick Rude and Road Warrior Hawk went to a double countout in a WCW International World Heavyweight Championship match. Shockmaster defeated the Equalizer. Steve Austin defeated Flying Brian. And Ric Flair defeated Big Van Vader by DQ in a WCW World Heavyweight Championship match. 24 years ago on Nitro, from Memphis, Eddie Guerrero defeated Rey Mysterio Jr. to win the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. 13 years ago on Raw from London, England, William Regal defeated Santino Marella to win the WWE Intercontinental Championship. 11 years ago, James Gibson announces his retirement from wrestling after a 14-year career, a.k.a. Jamie Noble.
I'm Jamie Noble.
He severely injured his back in a match with Sheamus, combined with multiple nagging injuries over his career, led to his decision to retire. Gibson is best known as the man who defeated CM Punk for the ROH World Championship in 2005, as Punk was heading to the WWE, as well as one half of J&J Security in WWE. And personally, I would never hire J&J Security or any security from any wrestling organization, as they all suck.
Pretty much, yeah. They were not very
effective.
effective.
Job. They're so terrible at it.
Not very effective.
10 years ago today, the WWE Network logo was revealed. This logo would be adopted as the company's logo, making the scribbly logo history. And November 11th, to those that served in the military, past or present, we give our thanks. Moving on, 56 years ago in Denver, Colorado, Mad Dog Vachon defeated the Crusher to win the AWA World Heavyweight Championship. God, one hairy bastard. 34 years ago, WWF taped the 13th edition of Saturday Night's Main Event. George Steele defeated Danny Davis by DQ. Randy Savage defeated Bret Hart. And King Kong Bundy defeated Hulk Hogan by countout in a WWF Championship match. But of course, since he won by countout, the WWF Championship does not change hands.
No, it does not.
No, it does not. 14 years ago, TNA presented Genesis. The show featured the TNA debut of Booker T, who was coming off his recent WWE release. Abyss defeated Black Rain in a Shop of Horrors match. Samoa Joe defeated Robert Roode. Kaz defeated Christian Cage in a ladder match. And Kurt Angle and Kevin Nash defeated Sting and Booker T. And finally, as soon as I get my scroll to work, 12 years ago, Ric Flair got married for a fourth time, divorced about 2.5 years later, then hooked up with Fifi. Woo! Flair for the gold.
Yeah, this wife of his, while looking for photos, is kind of messed up. She was actually assaulting Rick and causing scenes and stuff like that. So, well, good thing he wasn't the one doing the assaulting at this time. But, yeah, just kind of a messed up situation with them. And then, as you mentioned, he ended up meeting up with Wendy again. And Wendy was Fifi in WCW. And they got, I'm not sure if they got officially married or they had a commitment ceremony a couple of years ago. And things seem to be well. She's been by his side for all his heart issues and even this recent controversy thanks to Dark Side of the Ring and everything that's come out in the plane ride from hell situation. So who knows where he's going to land now. People were expecting him to be over in AEW with Andrade, but that might not happen now because, standards and practices and morals, shall we say, that Tony Khan has kind of probably outweigh the possibility of Rick working there.
Yeah, you know what? He's just got to sit and wait and let time pass. And, maybe he should at least come out to that woman and apologize because whatever Tommy Dreamer or any of those guys say, it's still what he did. He was a complete ass, and there's certain things that should not be let continue, and that just shows that sometimes in wrestling, and more so in the past, hopefully, and not so much now, that That whole plane was to blame. Vince McMahon was to blame. I'm sorry, you're the boss of the company. You should have came out and fucking done some bitch smacking. So
And instead, he passed the buck to JR, and he took the heat on that one. But so we'll see what time holds for everybody, including Mr. Flair, and what goes along that way. But yes, this was our 48th episode of This Week in History. So we're getting close to our 1 year around the calendar, and looking to revamp. So I think I'm going to start looking this week at episode number 1 that we did, and find out what we can take out of that and stretch out and expand and dive into WD Magazine also, and see what was going on in that week or that month, because I have at least 20 some odd years of WD Magazine to share with the viewers here, and we can flip through the pages just like Craig DeGeorge did as we went to update. So thank you once again for compiling this list. And I want to thank everybody for listening to us on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else you get your podcasts from. Watching us on YouTube and Facebook. Go over to our shop at prowrestlingtees.com/Scumbags Wrestling. Buy any of our t-shirts, including this lovely Scumbags Wrestling podcast t-shirt. And you can support our friend Stephen Spice, so Stephen's Wrestling Journey, and the Curie Malformation research through Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. So we are always trying to give towards that. He's going to be doing his toy drive, I believe, very soon, so you can check out that. I want everybody to also check out the All Ontario Cup, which is happening. The Scumbags bracket is happening later on tonight. Contact Barry Wrestling to find out how you can be a part of it. It's a pay-per-view tournament. 30 of the best talent in Ontario. They're already halfway through, but you can always watch those other episodes if you contact Barry Wrestling and be a part of that. And also, finally, lest we forget, remember and stay for everybody. Thank you to the troops, past and present, who made things possible for us to be free. So
and I'd also like to thank Coolbet.com and sportsbook betting and casino games. They are our sponsor. And of course, thanks to our Johners listeners, and of course to all those that did serve in any type of wartime and peacekeeping for keeping a lot of people safe over the years.
Exactly. I did forget our sponsor for a moment. Sorry about that, Coolbet. Just it's Remembrance Day and trying to fit everything in before we go. Everybody enjoy your Thursday, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you, Jonsey.